Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order. Today is May 9th, 2018. The time is 8 p.m. Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by a posting on the bulletin board in Village Hall, by mail to the Ridgewood News, the Record, and by submission to all persons entitled to same as provided by law of the schedule, including the date and time of this meeting. Roll call.
Councilman Houchet.
Here.
Councilman Seaton.
Here.
Councilman Voigt.
Here.
Councilwoman Walsh.
Here.
And Mayor Newton.
Here. Please stand for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please join us in a moment of silence for our men and women serving our nation, our first responders, and all those who suffer from or victims of senseless violence. Thank you. Just a couple of housekeeping items to start with. I move the bills, claims, and vouchers and statements of funds on hand as of April 30th, 2018 be accepted as submitted.
Second. Houchet.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, I move the village council minutes of January 31 and April 11, 2018, having been reviewed by the village council and now available in the village clerk's office, be approved as submitted.
You have a second?
Second.
Houchet.
Yes.
Seaton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes.
Walsh.
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. And we have some proclamations, and we'll start with National Cancer Survivors Day. Councilman Voigt.
Thank you. Whereas today, 15.5 million Americans are cancer survivors thanks to advances in early detection, treatment, and research. And whereas surviving cancer can lead to a host of problems in its wake with physical, emotional, and financial hardships, often persisting for years after diagnosis. Treatment with challenges including access to cancer specialists and promising new treatments, denial of health and life insurance coverage, financial hardships long after the initial diagnosis and treatment, employment problems, psychological struggles, and the strain on personal relationships, and the profound fear of recurrence. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood has an active and productive cancer survivor population, demonstrating that cancer survivors can live active, productive lives, even though they still face many challenges. And whereas communities all across America will be celebrating National Cancer Survivors Day on Sunday, June 3rd, 2018, as part of the world's largest annual cancer survivor event. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village of Ridgewood, the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim June 3rd, 2018 as National Cancer Survivors Day in the Village of Ridgewood, and urges all residents to join in this joyous celebration of life.
Thank you. Emergency Medical Services Week. Councilwoman Walsh.
Whereas emergency medical services is a vital public service, and whereas access to quality emergency care dramatically improves the survival and recovery rate of those who experience sudden illness or injury, and whereas only 1/3 of Americans rate their households as being very well prepared for a medical emergency, and whereas the members of emergency medical services teams are ready to provide life-saving care to those in need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and whereas emergency medical services teams, whether career or volunteer, engage in thousands of hours of specialized training and continuing education to enhance their life-saving skills, and whereas it is appropriate to recognize the value and the accomplishments of emergency medical services providers by titling EMS Strong, Always in Service as the theme of the 2018 Emergency Medical Services Week. And whereas the title EMS Strong, Always in Service conveys an incredibly powerful message about the EMS profession and the honorable men and women who serve within it. And whereas the designation of Emergency Medical Services Week will serve to educate the residents of the Village of Ridgewood about injury prevention and how to respond to a medical emergency. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim the week of May 20th through May 26th, 2018 as Emergency Medical Services Week, and encourages the community to support Ridgewood Emergency Medical Services, as well as all their programs, ceremonies, and activities.
Thank you. National Mental Health Awareness Month, Councilman Hachey.
We do have Chief Tony Lillo here to accept that proclamation. We have it here, actually.
She's got the, yeah. Sorry.
One moment. Did you sign it? I didn't know you were.
We'll sign.
Just waiting for the trumpet.
We put the brakes on that one.
Thank you.
Let's have a round of applause for our EMTs. And for Tony. All right. National Mental Health Awareness Month, Councilman Hachey.
Whereas West Bergen Mental Health Care was founded in 1963 as a child guidance clinic, and today is a full-range community mental health center serving over 3,000 people a year. And whereas West Bergen Mental Health Care offers a wide range of services that are designed to meet the needs of the people and families that it serves. And whereas mental health is essential to everyone's overall health and well-being. And whereas all Americans experience times of difficulty and stress in their lives. And whereas prevention is an effective way to reduce the burden of mental health conditions. And whereas there's a strong body of research that supports specific tools that all Americans can use to better handle challenges and protect their health and well-being. And whereas mental health conditions are real and prevalent in our nation. And whereas with effective treatment, those individuals with mental health conditions can recover and lead full, productive lives. And whereas each business, school, government agency, healthcare provider, organization, and citizen shares the burden of mental health problems and has a responsibility to promote mental wellness and support prevention efforts. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 8, 2018 as National Mental Health Awareness Month and calls upon the citizens of the Village of Ridgewood to recommit our community to increasing awareness and understanding of mental health, educate our citizens on the steps they can take to protect their mental health, and recognize the need for appropriate and accessible services for all people with mental health conditions.
Thank you. Older Americans Month proclamation, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. Whereas Ridgewood includes a community of older Americans who deserve recognition for their contributions to our nation, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood recognizes that older adults are trailblazers advocating for themselves, their peers, and their communities, paving the way for future generations, and whereas the Village of Ridgewood is committed to raising awareness about issues facing older Americans and helping all individuals to thrive in communities of their choice for as long as possible. And whereas we appreciate the value of inclusion and support in helping older adults successfully contribute to and benefit from their communities. And whereas our community can provide opportunities to enrich the lives of individuals of all ages by promoting and engaging in activity, wellness, and social involvement, emphasizing home and community-based services that support independent living, ensuring community members can benefit from contributions and experience of older adults. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim May 2018 as Older Americans Month and encourages every resident to take this month to acknowledge older adults and the people who serve them as powerful and vital individuals who greatly contribute to our community.
Thank you. I'll be reading LGBTQ Pride Month. Whereas the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood recognizes the human rights of individuals everywhere and embraces the rights of all people to live their lives freely in a world that is accepting and respectful. And whereas for far too long, members of the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender community have been marginalized, dehumanized, and demoralized for merely living in a manner consistent with our nation's fundamental beliefs of life, liberty, and freedom for all. And whereas sadly and regrettably, persons of the LGBTQ community have faced prejudice and discrimination, and too many have had to hide or deny their sexual orientation in order to keep their jobs or to live safely in their communities. And whereas the Village Council recognizes there are still many challenges before us, and we must stand together, firm in our resolve, to reject acts of prejudice, acts of hatred and violence against any person for any reason. And whereas senseless hatred, bigotry, and intolerance has no place in our society, and it is incumbent that village leaders and all residents foster greater empathy, understanding, and caring for each other. Whereas members of the LGBT community have made important and lasting contributions to our village, state, and nation by enriching our lives and helping to encourage and develop a more inclusive and thoughtful world. And whereas members of the LGBTQ community include our acquaintances, our coworkers, our neighbors, our friends, our loved ones, family members, and each and every one deserves respect, understanding, compassion, and the right to love whoever they choose. And whereas the Village of Ridgewood embraces all of our brothers and sisters, appreciating our similarities while celebrating our differences. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim June 2018 as LGBTQ Pride Month and encourages village residents to observe this month with appropriate programs, ceremonies, and activities that celebrate our diversity and recognize the need to embrace all members of our community with love, compassion, and acceptance. And
Mike.
National Gun Violence Awareness, Deputy Mayor.
Thank you again, Mayor. Whereas each day 91 Americans are killed by gun violence and countless others are injured, with Americans being 25 times more likely to be murdered with guns than people in other developed countries. And whereas protecting public safety in the community they serve is one of the highest responsibilities of the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood, which is why support for the Second Amendment rights of law-abiding citizens goes hand in hand with keeping guns away from dangerous people. And whereas June 2nd, 2018 would have been the 21st birthday of Haidia Pendleton, a teenager who marched in President Obama's second inaugural parade and was tragically shot and killed just weeks later. To help honor Haidia and the 91 Americans whose lives are cut short, and the countless survivors who are injured by shootings every day, a national coalition of organizations has designated June 2nd, 2018 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And whereas the idea was inspired by a group of Hadia's friends who commemorate her life by wearing orange, they choose this color because hunters wear orange to announce themselves to other hunters when out in the woods, as orange is a color that symbolizes the value of human life. And whereas we renew our commitment to reduce gun violence and pledge to do all we can to keep firearms out of the wrong hands, as well as encourage responsible gun ownership to help keep our children safe. Now therefore be it resolved that the Village Council of the Village of Ridgewood does hereby proclaim June 2nd, 2018 as National Gun Violence Awareness Day in the Village of Ridgewood and encourages all citizens to support the efforts in their community to prevent the tragic effects of gun violence and to honor and value human lives.
Thank you. With that, we'll be moving on to our Police Department Awards and Recognition Ceremony, and we just, for the record, have Chief Jackie Lucky here, and she's going to be coming up. We're going to join her on the floor, and just so everybody knows that I know out in TV world you can't see, but the entire back of the room is filled with our emergency responders, our police department. We have our fire department, our EMTs, and we're really, really proud and excited to have all of you here tonight. So with that, why don't we all go on down the floor.
Is that on? Is the microphone on? Start again?
Better? Oh, there we go. Normally I talk loud enough, now I got to figure out the mic. On November 21st, 2017, officers were dispatched to a motor vehicle accident. The driver was unresponsive. Police began CPR, EMS and the fire department continued CPR, and they were able to reestablish a pulse. These awards were originally given at the Emergency Services Annual Installation Banquet, but these officers were unable to attend. So at this time, we would like to congratulate Sergeant Michael Lembo, Sergeant Peter Bolton, and Officer Brandon Donnelly.
Okay, thank you, congratulations.
Next up, I would like to invite Officer Patrick Elwood and Officer Douglas Christopher, along with the Palmer family. Want to stand next to these guys? On Saturday, September 30th, 2017, a call was received for a woman in labor on William Street. Officer Elwood and Officer Christopher were assigned to respond. Upon their arrival, their mother had given birth a few moments before the arrival of the patrol officers to what appeared to be a very healthy baby. Officer Elwood and Officer Christopher aided Mrs. Palmer in keeping the baby warm and assisting the mother. The baby was placed on the mother's chest and wrapped in blankets. A short time later, Officer Elwood was alert enough to recognize that the baby had begun to change color and hadn't cried in some time. Officer Elwood moved quickly to see why the baby was turning blue and found that the baby's umbilical cord had wrapped around her neck and it was choking the baby. Officer Christopher and Officer Elwood moved the baby slightly down on the mother's belly to relieve pressure on the cord, and Officer Elwood was able to get the cord clear from around the baby's neck. The baby's color rapidly began to change back to normal, and the baby began to act normally. Officer Elwood's recognition of a severe life-threatening condition coupled with Officer Christopher's alert and rapid actions saved the life of the baby, and as you can tell, Layla is with us today. I would like to award the Life-Saving Medal to Officer Elwood for his swift and alert actions, and Officer Christopher the Honorable Service Award for his assistance. In addition, both officers have received the Distinguished Service Award from the Bergen County Police Chiefs Association. I would also like to thank EMT Ace Antonio on that call, as he also assisted. Next, please welcome Officer Joseph DiBenedetto, Officer Peter Tucol Jr., and Officer Rosario Vaccarella. On June 26, 2016, Officer Anthony Mormino was sitting in the desk area with his squad eating lunch when he began to choke on the food he was eating. Officer Mormino's throat became almost completely blocked and he began to lose consciousness. Sergeant Bolton reported that Officer Tucol, Officer Vaccarella, and Officer DiBenedetto immediately sprang into action to clear Officer Mormino's airway. As Officer Tucol performed the Heimlich maneuver on Officer Mormino, it wasn't very effective because Officer Mormino was wearing his ballistic vest. Officer Vaccarella and Officer DiBenedetto then attempted to remove Officer Mormino's ballistic vest, and after a few minutes, they were able to clear the blockage and open Officer Mormino's airway. Therefore, all three officers are awarded a life-saving medal for their actions on that date. Sergeant Chuck. There he is. In January of 2018, New Jersey Municipalities Magazine published an article, Innovation in Government Award, submitted by our very own village manager, Heather Maylander, which highlighted an action taken by a member of this department. The article speaks to the difficulties the Village of Ridgewood had with crossing guards in 2013 and 2014, and how this department has moved to outsource the task to all city management. The article goes on to say that although it may cost the village a little bit more money, it has freed up other employees so that we can do targeted enforcement, especially during school times, and promoting safety in the village. The Village of Ridgewood Police Department was awarded an Innovation in Government Award for this change. Sergeant Chuck led this initiative, dedicating several hours to make this happen. His actions directly led to the department being cited in a notable action and made us a landmark department in the area. For his leadership and dedication to duty, Sergeant Chuck is awarded the Grand Cordon Medal. if Sergeant Lembo would come up again. So this was a little bit different. It's not an award, but it is a prestigious scholarship. In order to be eligible for the Andrew Rutulu Jr. Memorial Scholarship, an applicant must be a New Jersey resident accepted for admission into law school or graduate school. The applicant must exhibit an interest in and committed to enhancing the rights and well-being of children through child advocacy programs. The scholarship is named after Andrew Rutulu Jr., who was the Union County prosecutor who died in 1995. Sergeant Lembo is a member of the School of Management at Marist College, studying for his Master's of Public Administration. Besides his hard work with the Village of Ridgewood, he is currently assigned to the Detective Bureau. He also works with the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office as a member of their Cyber Crimes Task Force. In 2012, Sergeant Lembo had a case where he tracked an individual to Massachusetts who was distributing child pornography. He was then able to identify a man in Florida that the accused was trading pictures with, and the man in Florida was molesting his own 2-year-old daughter. In November of 2017, Sergeant Lembo was part of a team that was conducting a search warrant on a suspect in Paramus for possession of child pornography. During the search, it was determined that the suspect was molesting his 10-year-old stepdaughter and trading pictures of her online. Sergeant Lembo continues to work for cyber-related cases for the Village of Ridgewood. And it was due to Sergeant Lembo's investigative work, knowledge in the subject matter of current and trending crimes against children, education of children, law enforcement, and the public, coupled with his strong commitment to leadership, the Ridgewood Police Department and the Village of Ridgewood, that made him the best overall candidate in the state. This scholarship is not only for law enforcement, but open to all law school and graduate students in the state of New Jersey, which makes it very prestigious. Congratulations on the scholarship, Sergeant Lembo. Thank you, Chief Leckie. And one more time for our police department, fire department, our emergency responders. Keeping us safe every day, and we really do appreciate it, so thank you. Okay. Now the room empty.
We're just waiting for the room to empty. All right, and with that, we'll go to public comment. Okay. All right, great. With that, we'll go to public comment. 3 minutes per person, not to exceed a total of 40 minutes. So come on up, name and address, and very good.
Lori
Good
Weber, 235 South Irving Street.
Wait 1 second. Just let's let the. It's hard enough to hear, so we just want to make sure that we get everybody.
I just like to be first so that I don't sit and watch everyone else and get nervous.
Yeah. All right, we'll try again. Go ahead.
Okay.
We didn't cut into your 3 minutes.
Good
with that. It's
evening,
okay.
I'm Lori Weber, and I live at 235 South Irving Street, and
Is that microphone on? All right, just lean into the microphone.
do I need to say, oh,
That's
yeah,
better.
okay. Lori Weber, 235 South Irving Street, and good evening. And before I get to what I came here to say, I just want to say congratulations to the mayor, to the deputy mayor, and I want to say congratulations to almost 3,000 Ridgewood voters who came out in support of an honest and a campaign that showed integrity. And just to say that if we need to come back every 2 years, we will. That being said, thank you very much for the proclamation about Gay Pride Month, and that's what I'm here to talk about. There's been a lot of talk about banner versus flag, Village Hall versus Van Ness Park, and I have reserved speaking publicly because I felt intimidated that my opinion would be looked at as politically motivated or, you know, something other than genuine. So I would like to say that as the proud mother of a member of our LGBT community, I loved the Pride banner in Van Ness Square. I thought it was large, eye level. I could see it from one of my favorite restaurants. I drove by it every time I drove through town, and I felt good about that. And I just want to say that different people have different ideas about what they like, and that's part of inclusion and diversity. And to be able to say that without being judged for what I want or why I want it, that I almost feel like I have to qualify that by saying that my daughter is gay, is kind of sad. To hear any public official have to say that, although it's nice to be proud, it's also very sad to have to justify an opinion. And I do believe that there actually are people in our community who are marginalized and discriminated against every day, but I think the people that want to champion them are at the wrong meeting. They should be at the Board of Education meeting. As a parent, when I put my kids through school, I railed against bullying, systemic bullying in our schools the entire time with no results. Parents that come forward are called troublemakers. They are re-victimized as their children were. This is not just from child to child. There are teachers that do this as well. And when one principal was given the names of at least a half a dozen parents who came forward about one third-grade teacher that wanted to be spoken with about this, that principal not only did not contact one single parent, that principal nominated and worked on the committee to make that same third-grade teacher Teacher of the Year that year. I know the families that have moved out of this town just to save their young children, and sometimes I wish that I had, because I also had that issue with one of my children. But I'm here, and now that I know that there is a group of people in this town that are interested in saving those people, I want them to be mobilized. My son,
Okay, I'm sorry, the timer went off.
can I just say the one thing about my son, please?
Just, I can't, okay, I'm sorry.
Okay.
3 minutes, I'm
All right,
sorry.
thank
Leave one
you.
off. Thank you.
All right.
Haley, say your name and address, Haley.
I'm Haley Weber, 235 South Irving Street. This is also in regard to the controversy over the LGBTQ pride flag. Over the past year or so, I've seen discussions, mainly by straight and non-transgender people, of it being wrong to put it in one place or another, or whether doing a banner instead of a flag is homophobic, all in the name of being good allies to the LGBTQ people of Ridgewood. And I, as a lesbian who was born, raised, and still lives here in Ridgewood, think that all of that is condescending and pointless. It doesn't matter where it's flown, or if it's a banner or a flag, that Mayor Knudsen and the rest of the Ridgewood Village Council are showing public support to LGBTQ people is a really amazing and wonderful thing. Many towns do not do this, so that Ridgewood is incredible. Seeing straight people bicker over whether the flag should go where the flag should go completely misses the point of the flag and shows that they are either more committed to looking more progressive than any others rather than truly doing things to help out those of an oppressed minority group, or that they are willing to use LGBTQ rights as a pawn to attack council members that they don't like. Either way, as an actual gay person, I find it deeply patronizing. Please go actually find out what is important to LGBTQ residents of Ridgewood instead of trying to talk for us without knowing us. That's it.
Thank you.
Hi, Kathy Brianza, and I just want to say congratulations to two of you, and happy to see you at your first day at work, back at work. And I want to thank you for the proclamation of Gay Pride Month and the proclamation for National Gun Violence Awareness Day. And I think we just all need to move forward and be happy and positive that our town is putting forth this public face. So let's work together. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Good evening, Ann Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I just would like to congratulate Mayor Knudsen and Deputy Mayor Seaton. Thank you so much for running again. Thank you so much for being willing to serve us, our town, so well for another 4 years. I know it was a long campaign, and there are obviously a few thousand of us and more that really appreciate it. I spent the day at the New York Botanical Garden in the Bronx, not Brooklyn, and I was smelling the flowers, and I was thinking that maybe the two of you, although I know you're already back at work, might enjoy smelling some flowers. So from my husband and me, here's a little token of our appreciation.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ann.
Thank you. Thank you. And thank you, Boyd. No, supposed to.
Good evening. Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. Also like to congratulate the mayor and the deputy mayor for their election win last night. The primary purpose of me being up here this evening, however, is to relay to you that I received an email today from an employee of the village and a phone call today from another employee of the village, who both told me about something that's going on at Graydon Pool that's very upsetting to me. And that is that as a result of the retirement of Tim Cronin, there were some things missed with respect to getting the pool ready for this coming season, which may result in the pool not being able to be opened as scheduled. I called Councilman Hache this afternoon as soon as I got this word, because he is the liaison to the Parks and Recs Committee, and he indicated to me that he had no knowledge that there were any problems that were taking place over there. And I also spoke to the mayor by phone, and she also indicated that she had no knowledge of any problems that were taking place over there. So again, I would like to call this matter to the attention of the entire council, that two employees of the village have informed me that due to the retirement of Mr. Cronin, some things that are ordinarily supposed to take place at the end of the season and during the winter months have not happened, and as a result, the pool manager is concerned as to whether the pool is going to be able to be opened on time. I'd ask you to investigate this and determine whether or not anything can be done to ensure that the pool does open on time, and to perhaps find out what went wrong to ensure that it doesn't happen again. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm shorter. Marcia Ringel, 250 Ferris Place. This is on the same subject. I learned it today from Boyd and was very distressed. And Graydon is, we call it our gem, so on. In the Little Prince, it says you have to cultivate your rose. Graydon has never been an easy child. Graydon requires excessive amounts of knowledge and love and buying the right things at the right time and putting them in at the right time and making sure the DEP is happy. If Graydon is just sort of left to deal with itself, it's going to die. It doesn't take that long. If we have a bad season, if things aren't clean because the deepest part has not been properly dredged, because somebody was saving money or they forgot to call somebody, if it doesn't open on time, if there were problems during the year because the water's dirty, we could lose the whole thing. And we have fought long and hard to keep that thing going. And a lot of people care a lot, but caring isn't enough. It requires tremendous maintenance. If we have a new person in charge who was not told what to do or is not doing it, then a different person needs to be in charge, and I mean now. If the Parks and Rec does not have the money they need to catch up fast and pay extra to hire a dredger before they start putting the water in, then I hope the council will give them extra money and talk to them. And we're talking about like a week and a half, because the lifeguards start doing their thing way before it opens to the public. So I hope this seems to be like an emergency call, and I hope that the council will get right on top of it and make sure it happens and not leave it to people who aren't doing it. I had one other very small thing on a completely different subject, which is that since you have just proclaimed May as Older Americans Month, and I have said this before, I think it would be very caring of the senior population to make it clear what the senior freeze is, to put it on the website, to put a link, to explain that it's a freeze on property tax. It's got an application available on a state website. It's very simple. You have to have, you can have a maximum income for the last 2 years. You have to live in a certain place for a certain amount of time. But people who are eligible for it need to apply, I believe, by June 1st. So I don't even know whether the extra money that comes back to them at the end of the year comes from the state or the town. I have never applied for it myself, but people may assume that it means like, that your income's $30,000. It's not true. It's like in the 80s. So quite a few people might be eligible for it. And although it doesn't mean you get a reduction that year, it means that as taxes go up, yours doesn't. So the longer you're involved, the more you save. And we constantly hear about trying to help people stay in town. This is one way.
Thank
So
you.
I hope you'll consider that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Public comment? Once, twice? Oh. Oh. Uh-oh. Good evening.
Good evening. Congratulations to the winners.
Just identify.
Russell Forenza, 228 Emmett Place, Ridgewood, New Jersey, 0745028038081. Is the Chief Financial Officer here tonight? This question may be for him, but maybe you'll be able to answer it. The ad that appeared in the paper on April 20th, is this correct? Has there been any changes to that with regards to the budget?
Go ahead, Russ.
That's correct. Okay, my questions are, looking at the salary line of the 18 budget and the 17 budget, I compared the numbers, and I divided it by the number of people, and it was 98,884 and 96,102. There was one additional person. The variance was 2,782. It comes to $96,102 basically a person for 17 on the regular Village of Ridgewood budget. 98,884 on the 2018 budget. A 2.89% increase. Water, 98,701, When you divide it by the 39 people and the 38 people, it was 96,763, a variance of 1938, a 2% increase. Basically, they're about the same. You get down to parking, and you have $657,065 in there, divided by 4 people, comes up to $164,266 per person. In 17, you do the same thing, it comes out to $157,038 per person. That's a variance of $7,288 with an increase of 4.6%. My question is, why are the other two around $98,000, and you get down to parking and it's up to $164,000? What's in that number?
So we're going to have our presentation, so maybe
Does
we'll...
the chief financial know that answer? I mean, I don't want to stay here all night.
Yeah, well, we'll do in that budget, we'll have that question, and there's a public hearing, right? So we have a public...
Isn't this the public hearing for the budget?
Oh,
I'm
no,
sorry.
no, this is public comment.
hearing. This is public
We're in
comment.
public comment,
This is
Russ.
comment.
Well, it serves the same purpose.
Okay,
You
so
know
when
what
you
the
we get to
question
the
is?
other
It's not the
piece of...
So the
when we-
reason is, the rate doubled from 2.89 and 2.0 for regular village and water, up to 4.6 for parking. There's only 4 people in parking, and when you divide the salaries out, it comes out $164,266 for 18, $157,038 for 17, and the other two are 98 and 96 for both of them. So we have a big discrepancy there, and I'm not used to doing parking budgets, so there may be something there that I don't know about. Also, one other thing. The reserve for uncollected taxes is the exact same number for 17 and 18, the exact same number. That's a calculated number by formula. For that to come out to exactly the same, it's pretty darn difficult. I mean, in 25 years in doing that, I never had it come out exactly the same number. So I'd be just willing to wonder why that is such also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Russ. Russ, you can come back during public hearing, do you want to? All right. Okay. Okay, all right. Any other public comments? All right. Yes, sir, come on up. Name and address, please.
Good evening, and congratulations to all of you. I'm Eugene Lorenzi, and I'm living 202 South Van Dien, right on the corner of Spring and Van Dien. And I have different problems, and I want to resolve, and I want to just explain.
Yep.
And I want to give you some pictures, so to look at it, what I'm going through the year. And if you mind, I'm going to give you, you can review it, and I have another list, 100 pictures of things that happened to my brother. I have police department parking on Spring, trying to catch the stop line people, go through, and break my sidewalk, and I had to replace it for $5,000 to replace all the Spring Van Dien. In the front, I have 2 trees, they cut it down, and you can see it, they got the machines over there, heavy machines, on top of my sidewalk, breaking the sidewalk. In the front, the manager with the police, the manager of the village, okay, it came, not the village, I think, is from the, I forgot his name now. But anyway, you can see his car is on my sidewalk. He broke 2 slabs. They put a heavy machine over there also, placing the stabilizer for every machine, and you can see it, okay? And I had to replace 3 slabs. They said, oh, don't worry about Mr. Lorenzi. When we're taking the tree on the corner, which you see it over there, on the corner, cutting it, before cutting it and after cutting it. He said, we will take care of you because we're going to replace the sidewalk, the crossing, all 4 crossing around the streets, okay, for all 4. I said, and we will talk about, what we can do for you for the tree, this and that. And so I never had nothing happen. On my tree, they came over there after Mayor Harrison finally decided to send somebody to cut the tree, and I have pictures over here. This is right in the corner, very dangerous.
Right.
For years I fight, and I never got it. And this is the police department, which I catch it from my window, and I went over there very nicely.
Go back to my
I spoke to the police department, the officer. I said, please, yes, please don't park anymore on my sidewalk because I just replaced it. I don't want to break it again. And
Okay.
I had a little contention with it.
So why don't we do this, because we had the tree thing, you and I had the conversation, but the other stuff I think was new to me, so what we're gonna do is we're going to coordinate this. I have your information, we'll coordinate this with the village manager. Can I keep the photos?
Yes, you can keep the
Okay.
photo. I got picture, and I got more pictures that will show you the garbage guys crossing the street, go on top
Okay.
of my sidewalk constantly. They said, I gotta stop that because they're breaking my sidewalk.
Okay, so this is very specific to you. You and I had the conversation about the
Yes,
tree.
I met
This
you
is-
that day, then you were
Yeah, got it.
for the
We got-
voting,
we-
and
got it
I
under
told you
control.
to put it.
So we're going to coordinate this with the village manager, and if we'll have somebody out there within this week and take a look at all of this. We have your photos. We'll figure this out, okay?
They cut
Promise.
3 trees, they came back
Okay.
with my survey that I have on my house. First, they said it was 6 inches away from the measurement. Then they came back. I gave my survey from my house, and it's touching the tree. It's touching the tree. It's no inches, it's no touching the tree. He said, no, you got to cut it. So I got 2 letters from engineering and the other department over there for construction. They said, you got to cut the tree in 2 weeks.
Okay. So we'll take care of this with the village manager. That was the beeper. I just want to let you know that I also, the deputy mayor went over there as well, and I showed him exactly what it is because he's also the liaison to Shade Tree Commission, so he probably doesn't exactly remember where it was because it was last week, I think. But we'll give this to the village manager, and we'll get in touch with you, okay?
I think you
This
see,
week.
I spent, $950 just for the 3 blocks that I had to put it from the sidewalk on the front of my house.
Okay, so we'll take care of it, and we'll be in touch, okay? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to just pass these right down there. And I have that address for you as well, Heather, but it should have been in an email. Okay, good.
You have time for one more?
Of course, we would.
Ellie Gruber,
Anytime.
229 South Irving. First of all, congratulations.
you.
I wasn't going to say anything tonight, but this is the first time in 2 years that there have been comments about items, statements about proclamations, no nastiness, no attacks. Thank goodness. I'm so relieved. I'm so relieved because you 5, you've done a great job, and we have been distracted by all these personal attacks. I'm saying it's been almost 4 years now that I think about it, attacking families from the mic every single meeting. But the results show that people want to get back to discussing issues. This is a great meeting. People coming with their problems, showing you stuff. This is what it's supposed to be. Anyway, I'm so glad. Anyway, congratulations.
Thank you. All right. With that, we are going to close public comment. Okay.
Right. And the first item on the public meeting agenda is the public hearing on ordinance number 3643, establishing a cap bank.
I move the clerk read ordinance 3643 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Ashe?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Foyt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3643?
Calendar year 2018, ordinance to exceed the municipal budget appropriation limits and to establish a cap bank, NJSA 48:4-45.14.
The public hearing is now open. Okay. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Ashe?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Foyt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3643 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Ashe?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Foyt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
Okay, at this time, we have our 2018 budget hearing. We'll begin with the budget overview. I'll have Bob Rooney, our Chief Financial Officer, come up at this time. And we do have a PowerPoint presentation. Steve Sanzari, our Treasurer, is also coming up. Just give us a minute as we put the PowerPoint up on the screens. There are also copies of the PowerPoint presentation on the side table.
So when you're ready, we'll go to the first slide.
And just for the record, just for everybody watching at home, do we just want to state names and title so that I know who you are, but no, maybe not everyone else.
Bob Rooney, Chief Financial Officer.
Soft-spoken, Steve.
Bring it up.
Yeah, it's a little slow. Steve Sanzari, Treasurer.
Great.
Okay, so the first slide shows a bar graph. Over the past 12 years, the municipal tax increases have ranged from a low of 0% in 2013 and 2014 to a high of 7.73% in 2007. Other than the 0% increases, this year with a 0.99% municipal tax increase is the lowest municipal tax increase in the remaining 10 years. Next slide. The budget summary, the operating and capital budgets were presented during the budget hearings for each department. It's a $50.1 million operating budget, capital budget $7.2 million in general capital and $4.9 million in the water utility capital. It's a 0.99% municipal tax increase as mentioned before. This is $62 annual increase on an average assessed home value of $700,637. Again, that's a $62 annual municipal tax increase. The estimated outstanding bonds and notes, $35.7 million as of 12/31/18 versus $39.8 million on 12/31/17. Revenues and expenses are up approximately 1.9% from the prior year. In operations, we have certain goals for 2018, establishing shared services agreements with the Board of Education and Washington Township for vehicle maintenance and repairs, establishing credit card usage for the municipal court and the health department, document IT policy and usage, participate in the county program for the upgrade of traffic signals and intersections, upgrading the HVAC and security system here at Village Hall, resurfacing several tennis courts, replacing the turf field at Maple Park, resurfacing approximately 7.5 miles of roads, enhancing the sound system in the courtroom, updating the SCADA system at the Water Pollution Control Facility, and introducing the Burbio app. Under public safety, we're updating the design and content of the OEM website. We're developing a school resource officer program with the Board of Education. We're hosting, hopefully, e-ticketing platform. We replace public safety vehicles and equipment and negotiating police and fire contracts. Parking, we're soliciting designs for a new parking garage and have arrived at the vendor we wish to go forward with. 2018 goals for water, enhancing communications on public education, on conservation. We're going to encourage the other municipalities in Ridgewood Water to adopt a water conservation ordinance. Continue compliance with all US EPA and NJDEP orders, restructure the customer service and public relations area of the Ridgewood Water Department, complete construction of the car treatment facility, improve our infrastructure, complete Suez water quality study, begin Passaic Valley Water Commission water quality study to assess if it's feasible for us to purchase water from them, create a coalition of municipal water utilities, which is in conjunction with hiring a lobbyist to coordinate village efforts to participate in the legislative decisions affecting water quality, and hiring a full-time person to support the water IT system. We have several challenges in the general area. It's negotiations for the new union contracts. This year, the PBA and the superior officers of the police department are up for their contracts. In addition, next year, fire is up, so we may begin later this year with fire as well. Defense of tax appeals and appraisal costs, police overtime, stabilizing the infrastructure, and use of one-time revenues. The challenges in the water are the compliance with US EPA and NJDEP water requirements, use of one-time revenues, and stabilizing the infrastructure. We have several opportunities. We are going to expand our technology platform. We have new tax rateables due to development, availability of fund surpluses, shared services agreements for vehicle maintenance and repairs, and enhanced website for resident usage. I'm going to turn over the next part of this presentation to Mr. Rooney.
Tonight, we're going to ask the council to consider a slight amendment to the budget that was introduced. It's a result of a change in the minimum for the state library tax, and also for a change with related to water for PERS bill. The change is minimal. It's, in the general fund, it's about $161,000. So the revenues have been modified up for $161,000, and the amount to be raised for public library tax has been reduced by $161,000. Total amount to be raised is down $161,000, but the municipal will stay the same. The calculation for an average home on $700,637 times the rate will be roughly $4,225, which is the $62 increase Heather was referring to initially. Predominant source of our revenues come from property taxes, over $32.8 million. Next in line would be local revenues of 4.9 and surplus of approximately $3.7 million. Our appropriations consist, the biggest expenses that we pay are for public safety, which is $12.7 million, public works at 4.9, and insurance at 7.7. And the famous dollar bill shows you the allocation between the total tax dollar. The estimate that we used for school for this presentation was 2%. I do believe the school came in roughly 3.4, 3.5%, but that's not reflected here. Any questions?
Questions? Councilman Voigt?
No, I don't have any questions. I just want to mention to all of you, a nice job. I know this took a lot of time and many months of meeting with department heads, and I know you guys put a lot of work in. Heather, thank you. Bob, thank you. Steve, thank you very much for doing this. Well, actually, I do have a couple of questions. So on the goals on resurfacing the roads, when we prioritize for resurfacing roads, is it based on the age of the last time, or do we just kind of look at potholes?
I'm going to have Mr. Ruthershauser come up and comment on that, because engineering actually determines the resurfacing each year, and they have some years out, and then sometimes they have to rearrange it based on conditions, actual conditions. So I'll have him explain.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Our division does an assessment of the roads throughout the year, but most critically we do after the winter. We have found some roads don't make it through the winter as well as we had hoped, so they have to move up in our priority rating. We also have had lost roads due to heavy storms. The last time that occurred, I think, was on Hempstead, I think about 12 years ago. It's constantly in flux. We try to address the worst roads possible. Roads that are submitted for NJDOT municipal grants, those are fixed, because in our package and application for the grant funding, we list the road. For example, we just won money for work on Hillcrest. We cannot take that money and use it on a different road. The DOT will not reimburse us.
Thank you. Sure. And then the last one is on the police overtime. There's some challenges with that. I know that the budget, at least we have in the budget, is about 450 or something along the lines of that. Is that
about
right?
475, I think.
Yeah, and I know you guys have been working that down over time. It sounds like you're probably more comfortable now than you've ever been, I would guess, as it relates to police overtime. Is that correct?
That's correct. I think the scheduling system that is new to the police department in the past year has shown drastic improvements for being able to identify the sources of time needed. The fact that we are maintaining the head count with the police sort of minimizes the time. So we monitor this every 2 weeks, and if we see any blips in it, we go back and start talking about it. But I think we got it pretty good.
Okay. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Again, I'd like to thank everyone who's involved in putting the budget together, our village manager, CFO, all the department heads. It's a monumental task every single year, and it seems like it goes on all year long until we get to this point. I did have one question about paving also. So Mr. Chris might be able to come up and help us out. I was just wondering, is the county coming to pave some of their roads too in Ridgewood? Because I think they have about 15 roads in the village. So I was wondering if you knew offhand what roads they might be addressing this year.
Yes, the county has a very massive paving program, a lot of capital funding. You're absolutely correct on that. They are working in the village. They've already done East Saddle River Road. They've done Paramus Road. There's a little section on Paramus Road, just north of Linwood, before it meets up with East Saddle River Road, that was not done. I think it's because that portion belongs to the DOT. I spoke to a couple county colleagues of mine at a public works lunch today, and they told me exactly who to contact to start the discussion as to why that wasn't done. We have slated resurfacing East Ridgewood Avenue. It is a county road. It did have a lot of natural gas work done in it last year. That's going to be restoration work in conjunction with the county and with PSE&G. Our obligation is going to be to do the ADA ramps at the corner. That's a standard requirement. We also have to do that on Franklin Avenue for them to resurface Franklin. Franklin Avenue also has to have further discussion with the county as to the direction we want the streetscape and how the street to be with the multifamily housing projects at the Ken Smith site and then also down at 257 East Ridgewood Avenue. Let's see, Lake Street, which is a small section off of Godwin that goes up to Goffle. That, I believe, was just resurfaced, I think, a year or two ago.
Good. Thank you. Sure. That was it.
Thank you, and thank you guys for the great job that you do. I know that you'd rather not have to think about it as much as you do, but it's a necessary evil. And I wasn't going to say anything about paving, because that seems to always be the topic, but I will say this about paving, being liaison to citizen safety. Whenever we pave and restripe and do all of those things to the street, it definitely makes our village safer. So although it is kind of a boring, it's not as exciting as maybe some of the other things that are done in the village, it definitely has an impact. And I know that, you know, when I drive around town and I see different striping and new lines and things, I'm always happy that, you know, that our village is safer. So that's my paving comment. I guess my only question, and I'm always thinking of you know, kind of what's next for us. So our average assessed value is lower than it was last year. So are we, I mean, we're really going straight up and kind of almost at the peak now. So what is our backup if we start turning the, you know, turning the corner and we start having our values?
I'm sorry, the value went up. It went from
the average.
Went from 693 to 700. If you look at
I thought that our average was 730 last year.
No.
Maybe I'm looking at an MLS. Maybe I have my MLS statistic.
Hold on,
then.
let's see if I have it.
Do you have our average?
Yeah, if you look
I might
down,
be using our MLS statistic instead of our village statistic, because it had it a little higher.
Yeah, because on the schedule that's up there, 2017 tax on the average home is 696,093. That was 2017, and now
Okay,
it's
so
up.
I have, all right, so I have an MLS statistic that had it a little bit
Okay,
higher.
I'm sorry.
So, yeah, so what is our, because we're literally just cascading up, and there's, you know, as we know, it's cyclical. So what is our kind of backup plan? Because I know there's a lot of houses on the market right now, that a couple of them in particular, that their assessment is up, but they've dropped like $1 million in value or in list price. So I would imagine they're going to come for a tax appeal soon.
Our equalization ratio only dropped about a 0.5% or 1% down from where it was last year.
Okay.
And, but I also know, just from my experience, is that it's a seller's market still. There's no inventory out there, mostly. So
I'm going to disagree with you on that one.
Well, I certainly can, but I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I see out there. That's what I hear from realtors and things like that.
Yeah.
But again, our equalization ratio did drop a little bit, so it does have its impact.
So what is our ratio now?
89.7, I think, something like that.
89.7.
One of the indicators that we also keep an eye on are tax appeals. When you start to have a decline, then you see more tax appeals coming about, and I work diligently with Mike Barker just to make certain that there's nothing out there that may impact us down the road. So my last conversation with him was we're being pretty consistent with what we've had in the last couple of years, so we haven't seen any real change to that, but he'd be in a better position to respond to it than I would.
And that includes stipulations as well?
Well, I mean, the steps come as a result of the appeals. So,
but I mean, we're not going to full appeal. We're doing more stipulations.
I mean, many are still going to the county board, but we probably only have to litigate maybe less than 10 matters before the county board.
Okay,
So we're okay in that regard.
all right, good, thank you.
Councilman?
No questions, but again, just echoing the comments from my council colleagues. Thank you guys for really running a very professional operation. I know it's never easy. You know, we always run up against the challenge of being capped on what we can raise in terms of taxation, and then having that running up against the increase that we see every year. Things don't get cheaper, so I really appreciate the magic that goes into making this happen. So thank you for that. And in terms of paving, not so much a question, but maybe a request. Can we prioritize Oak Street and Monroe? I feel like I'm going to lose some tires every time I go through those streets, if possible. But thank you.
Okay, and I just want to thank all the department directors for their diligence in reducing their budgets so that we could get to this tax increase. And Mayor Newton, I know you wanted to probably say something as well.
Yeah, I just thank you. And I know we spent a ton of time on this, and it's an incredible job to get this really refined down to a place that we're all comfortable with the levy, and then with being able to get the things done, the initiatives that we want to take on. Just as a question, because Mr. Forenza asked 2 questions earlier, can you respond to those? And I'm specifically, first we'll talk about the reserve based on that formula and that number that comes out the same.
So the reserve is a calculation that's predicated upon the collection rate and also the anticipated tax levies for the year. We look at the collection rate, and it's very consistent, probably one of the highest in the state, and we get comfortable with what that reserve for uncollected tax is. Basically what it says is if taxes are not collected, we have that appropriation to balance the budget to make certain that we stay in our revenue stream. We haven't had an issue with that since I've been here, and I know several years before that, it's always been very consistent. So we're comfortable with that number. And yes, it is a calculation, but we're comfortable the way we put it in that budget.
Okay.
The second question regarding parking. Parking includes allocations from various other departments that get put into that salary and wage line. So we do have a formula that we use that we calculate every year to make certain that if there's any change for more time that's put into it. For example, if Dylan had to go in and help me out with the kiosk and he spends, 3 weeks a month to do that, his time gets allocated back to that salary and wage line.
Okay. So when we go into the public hearing, maybe he'll want to expand on his questions, and that's fine. But again, thank you, and with that, we are going to the public hearing. So, will the clerk please read the title of the 2018 budget?
Yes, according to NJSA 48:4-8, as amended by Public Law 2015, Chapter 95, Section 14, 2015. It provides that the budget may be read by title only at the time of the public hearing, provided that at least 1 week prior to the date of the hearing, a complete copy of the budget has been made available for public inspection and has been made available to each person upon request. These 2 conditions have been met. Therefore, the title of the budget is 2018 Municipal Budget for the Village of Ridgewood, County of Bergen, and State of New Jersey.
Okay, thank you. The public hearing on the 2018 budget is now open. Welcome back.
Russell Forenza, thank you. Russell Forenza, 228 Emmett Place, Ridgewood, New Jersey, 0745028030881. I heard the answer regarding the reserve for uncollected taxes. I just found it just a little odd that for two years it would be the exact same number to the exact same dollar, even though that's formula driven and it is done by the collection rate, obviously. What is the collection rate currently in Ridgewood?
I believe it's 98.4, Steve, is that right?
And what was it last year? Well, yeah, last year, and what are you anticipating for this year? The same rate, the exact same collection rate?
Yes.
Okay, but usually when you do the dollars, you don't come out with that exact same number, but you're putting that number in because you feel comfortable with that number, even though the formula may come out a little different.
Absolutely.
Up or down. All right, I don't have a problem with that, basically. The parking, we got 4 employees there. And as I said, in 2018, the total came out to $164,266 for 4 employees, and that's a piece, that's at the salary a piece, and for the year before at $157,038. If we just took those 4 employees alone, without this added extra in there, what does that salary come to for the 4 of them?
First of all, I think for 2017, there was only 1 full-time employee, and then we had 4 part-time employees.
Okay, you had in the budget here, you have 4 in here, you got 4 and 4, that's where I'm going by.
It equates to...
Okay, so you're using FTEs,
Right,
full-time
yes,
equivalents.
correct.
All right, no problem.
So we anticipated in 2018 to hire 1 more full-time employee who would be effective July 1, basically. Okay, so getting back to your numbers, though, the calculation does not reflect, or the way it's set up for advertisement, does not reflect allocations that come back into the parking for other departments that provide services. So it's misleading from the way you're looking at it, but from a factual standpoint, those salaries and wages are from other services that are provided to the parking department that they would incur. So it isn't just, even though it's classified salaries and wages, okay, it's not salaries and wages exactly for the employees that are in parking.
Do you do that with the other 2 departments? Water does the same thing when you allocate out to the other towns?
No. If there are services that Public Works, for example, provides to water,
right,
there would be an allocation to water for that service.
Why wouldn't there be an allocation to parking for that service too, as it's separate, as of salaries? Why would you not put that in a separate line item? We'll call
It's
it
the way the
something
state
different.
requires that we put it in.
The state requires that?
That's correct.
Okay, as I said, I wasn't familiar with parking budgets.
And just so you know, the state reviews this budget, and they've completed a review of this one as well prior to being allowed to adopt
So
it.
it went down to DCA, and DCA approved that?
Correct.
I mean, you had the same numbers in last year versus last year too. It was the same type of ratio, even last year was in the 160s. But again, what do those 4 employees earn in total?
Steve, do you have that? I'm sorry.
What are those 4-time equivalents? I just want to get at that, so I want to see how much money is going in, and the difference between those numbers and the amount of money that we're saying is for other services, which you don't know what the other services are because you're just budgeting for them or presuming what they are.
Well, for example, you would have police services, if police had to provide services.
Right.
I have IT services.
But you don't know, you don't have a schedule that the police are going to work 100 hours of overtime to do. You don't know that offhand.
That's correct. What we do is we
adjust.
adjust this every year based upon actual. So we anticipate what that charge is going to be, and at the end of the year, we figure out if we're pretty close or if we need to make adjustments to it.
Okay, do you know what the actual number was last year? Is that?
I don't have access. It's close to, it's a little over $500,000, like 540.
A little over here, so you had some surplus there then.
Could you just speak into the
budget is
microphone, because we're not
628.
picking you up, so it's not going to work. I need Mr. Sanderi to speak in the microphone.
Last year's allocation was about $540,000.
Okay.
And then the balance would be your direct employees, which would be parking enforcement officers.
Okay, but you had 1 full-time and the other were full-time equivalents then, so you had equal
you
to
had
4 people.
part-timers in there, yes.
Now, usually the full-time equivalents earn a lot less money than 1 full-time person. So just offhand, if I said 1 full-time person earned for parking $70,000, that wouldn't be saying that it would be maybe less than that, maybe a little more, but I don't think so. Probably $70,000 for 1 employee. Now, if you had full-time equivalents for that, you're talking 140, 280,000. So it's maybe 280,000 for salaries, and yet you're budgeting 657,000. So we're really saying the difference. Is that correct? Is my presumption off there?
Yes, you have direct expense for salaries and indirect.
So you're counting the insurance costs and everything else and stuff like that? You're taking a
Insurance,
percentage of
health
that out
benefits
also?
costs
You're allocating for that?
Yes. And then you have your general liability insurance, so you have your regular expenses.
But that's
plus
not
your
in their
miscellaneous.
insurance line. You have no insurance line for
No,
them,
it's
in
not.
other words.
The utilities are just budgeted as salary and wages and other
Okay,
expenses.
so it's an allocation then, and you're putting it in there, and everything's going into salaries then?
Yeah. And it's
So in other words,
state
if somebody
document.
didn't ask that question, you wouldn't know that. You would just look at that the way I did, and I'm coming up with a ratio, 164,000 per person for 18 and 157,000 per person for 17, even though it's full-time equivalents, but all this other stuff can be added in. But if it doesn't happen, then it could go back into surplus.
That's correct.
All right. Thank you very much, everybody. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Russ.
Any other? Good night, Russ.
Thanks for staying up, Russ.
Yeah, thanks. All right, any other public questions in this public hearing? Okay. I move the public hearing on the 2018 budget be closed.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
So now we're at the budget resolutions. The following resolutions, numbered 18-145 through 18-146, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Amend 2018 budget. Mr. Rooney, if you could just one more time tell us what that amendment is, please.
Yes, the minimum library tax we initially had in the budget that we introduced was $161,000 higher than that certified by the state. That required that we had to lower that amount. We balanced that off by taking additional revenue in from items that we had capacity in. So it left the budget total exactly the same, no change with appropriation in the general fund. In the water fund, the bill that the state certified to for public employee retirement system was higher than what we had in the budget. So we had to change that for about $5,000 in the water. In addition, there was an $8,000 adjustment for interest on debt service that had to be increased. So that comprised about $13,000 for the amendment to water.
Okay. And then the next one is 18-146, which is adopting the 2018 budget as amended. As Mr. Rooney mentioned, this has already been to the state. The state has reviewed it. We did get the email earlier today indicating we can proceed with the adoption this evening. So they are satisfied that it meets all the criteria.
Oh, just a question. Bob, are we getting a budget for the water department adoption? We just have one for the municipality. Is that?
You have a budget in place for the water department. You're only required to vote on anything that raises taxes.
Okay.
So that's why you only see the general.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, so I just need, unless there are any other questions, I just need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, Hache?
Yes.
Sedin?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. And thank you again.
And thanks again to all the department directors. I appreciate it.
Yes, thank you to everybody. Actually, this is a labor of love, I guess, or something, but right.
Okay.
Yep.
So next is village manager's report. As many people have mentioned, obviously yesterday we had our municipal election. Congratulations to Mayor Newton and Councilman Sedin on their success. I'd like to also thank all the staff in the village clerk's office who do a lot of work to set up for the election and then work that day. And but it all went very smoothly, so I'm thankful for that. I just got a report that our test site has been checked out for our public Wi-Fi system. It is anticipated this system will be available in 4 locations: Village Hall, the Community Center, the Stable, and Graden Pool by the beginning of June when Graden Pool opens. The system will operate similarly to the mall systems. Like if you're in a mall, you'll have to sign in and have a password, and then if you come up with a different device at another time, you'll have to sign in again with the same sign-in name, and then it'll add it to your account. So there will be a sign-in required and a password, but other than that, it should be up and running, so that's very exciting. I want to remind you the rabies clinic and microchipping event, which is free, will be held on Wednesday, May 16th at Graden Pool parking lot on Northern Parkway from 5:30 to 6:30 p.m. Another reminder, the Women Gardeners Resource Room on the 2nd floor of the Gatehouse at Habernickel Park is open to the public on a scheduled basis. It provides a variety of garden books and magazines to plan your garden, and members are available to answer garden-related questions. The resource room is open one Tuesday a month. The next time it'll be open is June 12th from 1 to 3 p.m. And again, if you have questions about gardening, if you have something that's not growing, if you don't have a green thumb, please go in and see the women gardeners. They're more than willing to help you, or they can provide you with books so you can read about certain plantings. It's a wonderful resource for all our residents. And I just want to remind you, Graden Pool memberships, badges for the coming season can be purchased online through ridgewoodnj.net/communitypass or in person at the pool badge office Saturday, May 12th or Saturday, May 19th from 10 a.m. to noon. And again, when the pool opens on June 2nd, you can purchase it at the badge office and throughout the summer season. That's it.
So just two things. First, I think Marcia raised the issue of the senior freeze on the website. We can put that link. I think it's a pretty quick link to add to that. But the other question, so there's no issue right now where there's a concern that Graydon will be delayed in opening?
I have not heard anything to that effect. I will check into it, and if
So I
I
see
do,
Nancy
I will
shaking
let
her
you
head
know.
no.
I'll let you know.
So can we have that information tomorrow provided?
Yes.
And this way we can
Yes,
move forward? Okay, great.
absolutely.
Okay, thank you. All right, and going on to council reports, Councilman Voigt.
Nothing to report, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. I'd just like to remind residents that May 17th at 7 p.m. right here in Village Hall, the community center downstairs, there will be a community health talk with Dr. Thomas Pearls, author of Living to 100, Lessons in Maximizing Your Potential at Any Age. It's sponsored by Age Friendly Ridgewood, Valley Health Systems, Van Dyke Healthcare, and Village Parks and Recreation. Those who are interested could RSVP at www.agefriendlyridgewood.org. And for more information, you could call 201-632-1554 or email agefriendlyridgewood the email is agefriendlyridgewood, all one word, @gmail.com. And I'd also just like to thank Ann Loving because this spring I really enjoy gardening, and the only thing I've got a chance to plant this spring was corrugated plastic signs. So I'm happy that I now have a real flower to plunk in the ground and start from there. So thank you again. And that's my report.
Thank you.
Councilwoman Walsh.
So thank you, Deputy Mayor, for making that announcement, because we're not going to have our citizen safety meeting this month so that members can attend that Living to 100.
The event, oh good.
Yeah. So tomorrow evening, as part of the Guild's Film Festival, we have, the Arts Council has Scott Rosenfeld. You can arrive at 6:30 to walk the red carpet if you'd like, or just show up at 7:30 to attend the event. The tickets are $10. We're hoping that a lot of people come so that we can have a great time with Scott Rosenfeld. You would know him for Home Alone and Mystic Pizza and lots of fun movies that we all hold dear to our hearts. You can get a ticket at the Stable, you can get a ticket at Daily Treat, and you can get one at Mango Jam. So it's tomorrow evening at 7:30. That's all I have.
Thank you. Councilman.
So tonight I had the privilege of being invited by the Guild, by Tony Damiano and the rest of the board to do the greetings at the film festival on the red carpet. I almost wore a tux. I didn't want to show up here with a tux on, but it was a wonderful event. I had the chance to address everyone who was in attendance, and it's really just reflective of a lot of the hard work that goes into the promotion of our downtown. The Guild, as you know, does a lot to sponsor the arts. They also do a lot to bring families into the downtown with wonderful activities for the whole family, and also to bring a lot of shoppers and diners. And I think we have a tremendous downtown, and these efforts only go towards enhancing, the viability of it. I was happy to be there because it's, movies are actually my favorite medium of visual arts. The theme this year was the impact of film. And we always think of film as sort of entertainment, but it could be something that can stir our imagination. It can also raise our consciousness on some issues and bring some important issues to society to light. So it was a wonderful experience and a privilege to be there. Tomorrow, CBD Advisory Committee meets downstairs 8:30 a.m. in the garden room. Also, as a reminder, on Monday, May 14th, we're going to have our second Central Business District Forum, where we're inviting the business owners to come in and share their experiences and challenges and the concerns regarding the business district, and then figure out ways that we can work together to make things better. And I'd also like to congratulate the mayor and deputy mayor on the re-election to the village council. And I commend them for running a clean and honest campaign, which is reflective of their values and integrity. And I look forward to serving with them, to continue to work with them through the remainder of my term. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I have a couple things. I just want to say that Scott Rosenfeld's an amazing guy, really, really nice guy. So if you get over there to meet him, he's absolutely wonderful, brilliant, and we love his movies. So tomorrow, and to the Guild, the film festival, actually this evening at 8 o'clock, the Jamboree DVD was being shown from this year's Jamboree program. So I actually came from the dinner party straight over here, and that's why we missed that little red carpet thing. So, but it's really exciting for the Jamboree folks. And the only thing I have is tomorrow evening, the Bergen County Historic Preservation will be presenting historic preservation leadership recognition posthumously to Isabella Altano, and that's a really an incredible honor. And once again, as we all know, a very, very much missed member of our community. So with that, that's it. Moving on.
We have no ordinances under Ridgewood Water for introduction. We do have the public hearing.
Okay, very good. I move the clerk read ordinance 3642 by title on second reading, and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. Will clerk please read the title of ordinance 3642?
A bond ordinance providing for various water utility improvements in and by the village of Ridgewood in the county of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $1,317,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $1,317,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance the costs thereof.
Okay. Public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3642 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes.
Ridgewood Water resolutions, the following resolutions, numbered 18-147 through 18-151, will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Title 59, approval landscaping services, award contract landscaping services, award contract roof repairs at various village water facilities, authorized change order number 2, water main stream crossings, authorized change order number 2, installation of backup power at critical facilities. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. Okay. I move the first reading of ordinance 3639.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes, so ordered. Will clerk please read ordinance 3639 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 212 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Parks and Recreation Areas at Article 10, Section 212-31, skate park use rules and regulations.
I move that ordinance 3639 be adopted on first reading and that June 13th, 2018 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3646.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3646 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 265 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood, Vehicles and Traffic at Section 265-29, parking meter zones designated, and at Section 265-72, Schedule 22, loading zones.
I move that ordinance 3646 be adopted on first reading and that June 13th, 2018 be fixed as the date of the hearing thereon.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3647.
Second.
Hache?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton?
Yes. So ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3647 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 190 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood at Section 190-3 entitled Definitions to add a new definition of blade signs, and at Section 190-122 entitled Signs to create a new subsection at 190-122H10 establishing regulations for blade signs.
I move that ordinance 3647 be adopted on first reading and that June 13, 2018 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. I move the first reading of ordinance 3648.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, so ordered. Will the clerk please read ordinance 3648 by title?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 172-6 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Nuisances Enumerated.
I move that ordinance 3648 be adopted on first reading and that June 13th, 2018 be fixed as the date for the hearing thereon.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. I move the clerk read ordinance 3644 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3644?
A bond ordinance providing for various capital improvements in and by the Village of Ridgewood in the County of Bergen, New Jersey, appropriating $4,948,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $4,698,000 bonds or notes of the village to finance part of the cost thereof.
The public hearing is now open. I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3644 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. Okay. I move the clerk read ordinance 3645 by title on second reading and the public hearing thereon be open.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes, will the clerk please read the title of ordinance 3645?
An ordinance to amend Chapter 145-4 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled Departmental Fees, and Chapter 145-5 of the Code of the Village of Ridgewood entitled General Fees, to amend the fees charged by the Health Department.
Public hearing is now open. Okay, I move the public hearing be closed.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
I move that ordinance 3645 be adopted on second reading and final publication as required by law.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes.
Resolutions. The following resolutions numbered 18-152 through 18-164 will be adopted by a consent agenda with one vote by the village council. They will be read by title only. Award contract, disposal of recyclable materials. Title 59 approval, crossing guard services. Award contract, crossing guard services. Title 59 approval, parking transactions using mobile technology and other related services. Award contract, parking transactions using mobile technology and other related services. Award professional services contract, professional planner, affordable housing planning consultant. Award contract, eradication of bicycle lane markings, portion of westbound Garber Square. Award contract, animal control services and waterfowl management. Authorize planning board to prepare redevelopment plan for Hudson Street parking lot. Approve lease of Pease Building first floor and balcony. Endorse application for community development block grant, Village of Ridgewood, tables for Patrick A. Mancuso Senior Center. Appoint municipal recycling coordinator and appoint member to Parks, Recreation, and Conservation Board. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Ashay?
Yes.
Seaton?
Yes.
Voigt?
Yes.
Walsh?
Yes.
And Newton.
Yes. Yes, that was a yes. I was clearing my throat. And with that, we go back to public comments, not to exceed 5 minutes per person. Welcome back.
Hello, hello again, Boyd Loving, 342 South Irving Street. I see that you did introduce ordinance 3646 tonight, despite the fact that I believe that 3 of you have concerns or had questions about that. I'm wondering, is that discussion targeted for May 25th or the first meeting in June?
it'll actually be May 23rd is our next meeting, I believe. Today's the 9th, 16th, 23rd.
23rd, sorry, yeah.
Yeah, May
23rd. So on the
23rd.
23rd, the questions that you all have will be ironed out, and if the questions are not ironed out satisfactorily, I'm assuming that this will not fly.
Correct.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else? Okay, with that, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Thanks.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.